I think this is another very, very important day for us at Yas Marina Circuit, and to open the Yas Drag Racing Centre is definitely something very special for the future of motorsport and building that heritage and that passion in the UAE. Drag racing is extremely popular in the Gulf, as we know, and I mean one of our main objectives is to make sure that we develop this drag racing centre as really a centre of excellence in the region.
The best way I always like to describe it if somebody's never been to a drag race is like the 100-meter dash in a track meet. You know, you have a start, you have something that starts us, which we call a Christmas tree. So basically you have two cars. The track surface itself is a quarter of a mile long. It was basically whoever leaves the line first and whoever gets to the finish line first is the winner. You know, kids, the young generation wants something to happen quick. They want to see speed. They want to see fast finishes. One of the other great things about drag racing is that you can actually come down to see the mechanics work on the cars, and it's one of the coolest things. In a top fuel car, we run it one time down the racetrack, and the whole motor has to be disassembled. I mean, everything. They take the heads off, they take the supercharger off, they rebuild the whole thing. But the thing, what people don't realize is they can put that thing all back together in less than about 30 minutes. And one of the things that people love in our sport is I'm accessible. You know, you can walk right up to you. Kids love it. I mean, we're these kids' heroes, and to be able to come up and shake our hand and get an autograph, and you know, it really sets an impression. And I think it's the one great thing about our sport is that it's open access. You know, it's one of the things that we're going to have to try to work through is not only educate the facility, but educate the fans that, hey, you don't have to sit in those stands all day. Come out, come see us. You know, come watch us work on the cars, come meet the drivers, come get some autographs. Yeah, you know, people think that you're crazy, and you know, maybe I am a little crazy. You know, to strap yourself in to a car that makes 8,000 horsepower. You know, a typical F1 car makes around 800 horsepower. So that's 10 F1 cars. So you're basically looking at the first 5 rows of an F1 race is what my one car makes in horsepower. 0 to over 100 kilometers an hour in under a second. These cars are the fastest accelerating vehicles in the world. I mean, we're pulling 5Gs, going over 500 kilometers an hour at the end of the race. You know, there's a lot to go in a drag race. There's a lot to drive in them. It's just not going down in a straight line. I mean, these cars are hard to control. You're trying to keep the front end on the ground. You're trying to keep the tires from spinning. You keep trying to keep it in the groove, you know. So there's a lot going on in the time that it takes to get to the quarter mile. And, you know, that's what excites me. Every time I hit the throttle on a top fuel car, it's like the first time you know, you don't lose the sense of that rush and that feel, because it never goes away. Because, you know, I always tell people it feels like a bomb went off when that car takes off. It's just like, you know, and it's very, very physically, these cars are very, very physically demanding. You know, 5Gs on the body, you know, you do that 4 or 5 times a day. You know, it definitely beats you up. There's times that I've won a race and actually been bruised from the seatbelt harnesses. The other great thing about our sport is that anybody can come out here and drag race. You can bring your car that you drive around the street and come out here and drag race. And that's what I really think sets our sport off from anybody else too. You know, I drive these cars and I drive the fastest cars in the world, but if you had 2 street cars out there, I would like that just as much, because it's a race. People drive very fast, very aggressively, and we've heard the kids tell me, I've talked to a bunch of kids here, and they tell me that drag racing on the street is a huge, huge culture. And driving very, very fast here is a very huge culture and very dangerous. And, you know, they say they don't have a place to come and to do that. So NHRA drag racing was founded because of the danger and what people were doing on the streets. NHRA provided a safe place with safety regulations, and they've developed this whole sport around that. It wasn't developed because, you know, somebody thought, oh, let's have an organized drag race. What it was developed for was to get people off the street and do it in a safe environment. And really, it's wild to say, but it's like the same thing here. It's like the reason of coming here is to make sure that people know that they can come out here and race in a safe environment. Because even in the States, I was very intimate and involved in a program called Midnight Mayhem, and we provided a race facility and brought all the kids in, and they could have their cars and play their stereos and race and hang out, and you know, and do it in an environment that was safe and you know, monitored. But what that also does is it develops them the passion to come out here and want to race. And my other big goal is to develop, Emirati and other people from the GCC to come here and learn how to race and do it professionally. And I see that coming, because there's a lot of cars that are already established in Qatar and Bahrain and with this facility here, you're going to see a growth. I think it's going to be a very phenomenal growth of the amount of racers that are going to be racing here. It takes a lot of skill. In a drag race, the level of concentration and to keep these cars, down and in the groove, and everything happens so fast. And one of the ways I like to describe it is in an F1 race, you could have a bad lap and you could make it up and still win the race. When a drag race, you have one bad something happen, you lose. In a drag race, you lose once, you're done. You lose. It's kind of like the Old West gunfight. You got, if you lose a gunfight, you're done. They're 8,000 horsepower. They're accelerating over 500 kilometers an hour. And they're all working parts. I mean, you could lose a tire and you have to control it to keep it from crashing. You blow engines and they catch on fire, and those are things that you don't want to happen, but they happen. It's part of racing in any form of motorsports. And there's been times where I'm driving down the racetrack and the car's on fire, and my hands, I have safety equipment and everything, but you still have to keep that concentration level to make sure that you pull your parachutes and you stop the car, and you don't panic. And that's one of the things that like when F1 drivers or IndyCar drivers or NASCAR drivers see what we do, they're like, wow, that's impressive. I mean, they have a respect for it because they have a respect for speed. There are cars here, and they'll be based out of here, and these are world-class cars. I mean, we built them, and they're going to be just as fast as the fastest cars in the United States. So we're excited to show, the GCC what these cars can do, and I think that's what really excites me, is to have that opportunity to be the first one to go down the track and the first one to break 500 kilometers an hour in the UAE.